Have you ever wondered how important obedience is in our lives? It's a question that, at first glance, may seem straightforward, but when we delve deeper, we find that obedience, particularly during our formative years, plays a pivotal role in shaping our character and guiding our future behavior. Consider it as the invisible hand, gently steering us towards habits, attitudes, and actions that can either foster growth or breed inertia. In this context, the story of a boy named Ethan becomes an intriguing case study. Ethan, known far and wide for his disobedience, was a maverick in a world that often rewards conformity. His story paints a vivid picture of how defiance can mold a person's life, sometimes in ways they least expect. So, as we embark on this journey, let's keep an open mind, for the narrative may surprise you, challenge you, and hopefully inspire a conversation. Let's discover what happened to Ethan due to his disobedience. Ethan, a lively and curious child, was known for his disobedience. This bright-eyed, energetic youngster was always full of life, brimming with curiosity about the world around him. But with his zest for life came a stubborn streak of disobedience that was a constant cause for concern. From a young age, Ethan had a mind of his own and a strong will to match. Homework was a battleground, with Ethan often refusing to sit down and complete his assignments. His parents would plead, coax, and reason with him, but Ethan, in his obstinate manner, would dismiss their pleas with a wave of his hand and a mischievous grin. His room was a mirror reflection of his unruly spirit. Toys strewn about, clothes piled high, and books scattered across the floor. It was a mess that Ethan never seemed to mind. His parents would urge him to tidy up, but their words fell on deaf ears. Ethan simply didn't see the need to clean up. His world was one of chaos and adventure, and he relished it. Then there were the countless times when Ethan's parents would offer him sound advice, hoping to guide him on the right path. But Ethan, ever so defiant, would shrug off their words of wisdom. Whether it was about being respectful to others, eating healthily, or maintaining a regular sleep schedule, Ethan would march to the beat of his own drum, rejecting the guidance and wisdom his parents tried to impart. As Ethan continued on this path of disobedience, his parents' worry grew. They loved their son deeply, but his constant defiance was a source of deep concern. They wondered if it was just a phase, a rebellion that would fade with time. But they couldn't shake off the nagging feeling that something more was at play here. Ethan's parents were worried about his behavior, but little did they know that it was just the beginning. As Ethan's early years rolled by, his disobedience only seemed to grow, setting the stage for a series of events that would test their patience, their love, and their hope for their son's future. As Ethan grew older, his disobedience started having severe consequences. His rebellious nature, once seen as harmless child's play, started to cast a shadow over his teenage years. Just like a pebble creating ripples in a pond, Ethan's actions started to have a far-reaching impact. His academic performance was the first to take a hit. Ethan's teachers constantly reported his lack of attention in class, his refusal to complete assignments, and his blatant disregard for school rules. His school grades began to resemble a downhill slope, and no amount of tutoring or extra classes seemed to help. It was not the lack of intellect, mind you, but a lack of discipline that was the culprit. Ethan chose to defy rather than to learn. Strained relationships followed suit. Ethan's friends started to distance themselves, wary of his unpredictable behavior and constant clashes with authority. His parents watched helplessly as their son's social circle dwindled, replaced by a solitude that Ethan seemed to prefer. His disrespect for his elders, his peers, and most importantly himself, began to isolate him from the world. Respect for authority, a virtue often taken for granted, was something Ethan struggled with. His constant need to challenge the rules, to go against the grain, led to several run-ins with his school's administration, local law enforcement, and even his parents. His blatant disregard for rules and regulations was not seen as courage, but as a sign of his disobedience. Ethan's life was like a ship in a storm, tossed around by his own actions with no sight of land or calm seas. His parents, teachers, and friends could only watch as he navigated through the rough waters, hoping that he would realize the importance of obedience before it was too late. Ethan's life was spiraling out of control, and it was all due to his refusal to obey. His story serves as a stark reminder that disobedience, while it might seem thrilling in the moment, can lead to a lifetime of consequences. Scene script. Then, one day, everything changed for Ethan. It was a usual afternoon, and Ethan, in his habitual defiance, decided to ignore his mother's repeated request for him to stay home. He ventured off to a forbidden part of the town, a place his parents had warned him about many times. However, Ethan, being Ethan, scoffed at these warnings, thinking they were just another attempt to control him. As he wandered around this unfamiliar territory, he found himself lost. The usual bustle of the town was replaced by an eerie silence. The buildings were old and dilapidated, the streets narrow and winding. This was not the part of town he was accustomed to. He called out for help, but his voice echoed back at him, unanswered. Fear crept in, replacing his usual bravado. In his desperation, he realized the gravity of his disobedience. He remembered his parents' warnings, their pleas for him to stay safe. But he had chosen to ignore them, thinking he knew better. Now he was alone, scared and regretting his choices. The sun was setting and the temperature was dropping. Ethan was cold and hungry. He missed the warmth of his home, his mother's comforting voice, his father's reassuring presence. He wished he had listened to them. After what seemed like an eternity, a kind stranger found Ethan and helped him find his way back home. His parents were frantic with worry, but relieved to see him safe. Seeing their concern, their love, Ethan realized the error of his ways. He understood that their rules, their advice, were not to control him, but to keep him safe. That was the wake-up call Ethan needed to start making changes. For the first time, Ethan felt a deep sense of remorse for his disobedience. He vowed then and there to respect his parents' wisdom, to value their guidance, and to understand that they only wanted the best for him. This pivotal moment marked the start of Ethan's journey towards maturity and understanding. It was the turning point he needed, the lesson he had to learn the hard way. Ethan finally realized the importance of obedience, but it wasn't an easy journey. Our young protagonist, Ethan, was faced with the daunting task of changing years of his ingrained behavior. It was a mountain he knew he needed to climb, not just for himself, but for the people around him. And so he began his journey towards transformation, a journey that was as much about self-discovery as it was about learning respect, discipline, and obedience. Ethan's first step was to understand and accept his past mistakes. He recognized that his disobedience was not a sign of strength or independence, but a barrier that hindered his growth and relationships. This was his first lesson, the lesson of acceptance. Next, he learned about respect. Not just respect towards his parents, but respect towards everyone he interacted with. He learned that respect is not a one-way street, but a mutual exchange, a give and take. Then came the lesson of discipline. Ethan understood that discipline is not about being controlled by others, but about self-control. It's about setting boundaries for oneself and sticking to them, something that he had overlooked in the past. With these lessons, Ethan started to see obedience in a new light. He realized that obedience wasn't just about following orders blindly, but about understanding the reasons behind them. It was about trust, respect, and love. And with this newfound understanding, Ethan started to change. The changes were slow but steady. His relationship with his parents improved. His academic performance saw a significant upturn. He started making real friends, those who valued him for who he was, not for his rebellious persona. Ethan's transformation was not overnight, nor was it easy. But with each passing day, he became a better version of himself. A version that was respectful, disciplined, and obedient. Ethan's story teaches us that while obedience might seem restrictive at times, it is a crucial aspect of life that leads to success and harmony. Looking back at Ethan's journey, it's clear that obedience plays a significant role in our lives. Ethan's tale is a poignant reminder of how disregarding the rules can lead to a spiral of negative consequences. His early years, marked by disobedience, brought him challenges that could have been avoided had he valued the wisdom of his parents. Yet, it's not all gloom. Ethan's story also highlights the transformative power of change. When he chose to listen, to respect, and to obey, he paved the way for a life of harmony and success. He proved that it's never too late to learn, grow, and change. The tale of Ethan serves as a mirror for all of us, reflecting the importance of obedience. It's not about being under someone's thumb, but about understanding and respecting rules and guidelines. They exist to create a harmonious society and to guide us towards a successful life. Remember, obedience isn't about control, but about understanding the importance of rules for a harmonious and successful life.